fulfill a certain mitzvah physically, if you just learn about it and you think about it, it's considered as if you fulfill the mitzvah and as if you did it physically and you get reward for it. For example, when we had Beit HaMikdash, we could bring korbanot. Now we don't have Beit HaMikdash, so how can we fulfill all the mitzvot that are connected to Beit HaMikdash? So by learning about them and by saying, Hashem, if there would be Beit HaMikdash, I would fulfill it. It's not up to me, so count it as if I did it. Because if I had opportunity, I would do it. But you can say, but some mitzvot are only for Kohanim, and I'm not a Kohen. So I cannot work in Beit HaMikdash. I can bring the Korban to Beit HaMikdash, but I'm not a Kohen. So you say, Hashem, if I would be a Kohen, I would do this. You didn't make me a Kohen, but if I would be, I would serve in Beit HaMikdash, and I would do a good job. So count it as if I am Kohen, and as if I'm working in Beit HaMikdash, and give me a reward. Yeah? So the same thing. You say, if, Chas v'Shalom, I would be a man who had a wife who was not good, and he had to divorce her, I would divorce her through a get. Yeah, I wouldn't leave her without a get. I wouldn't cause her trouble by not giving her get. I would give her get peacefully, and that way it's counted as if you fulfill the mitzvah. So again, we have the mitzvah divorce through a get, a divorce document. And just briefly, what kind of a divorce document it is? It says keritud. The word keritud means separation, which means there must be completely separate after this get. The get cannot have any condition that keeps them together. For example, he cannot say, I'm writing this get, you divorce through get, on the condition that you don't go to your father ever in your life. Let's say he wants to hurt her, and he says, I'm only giving you a get on the condition that you never go to your father. But if you go to your father once, the get is annulled. So that's not a good get because they're still connected. There's still a bond between them that she has to follow his command, the husband's command.
In the times of the Gemara, there were a lot of discussion about giving, I think it was giving get unconditional. Like there were many different types of conditions.
There are some conditions that are permissible, and some conditions are not permissible. If it's a kind of condition that is either temporary, or it does not create a connection between them, that's fine. But if it's a kind of a condition that is forever, that's not good. For example, if he says, it's a get if you don't go to your father for 30 days. So that's fine, because she just fulfills that 30-day period not going to her father, and she's divorced. She's completely separated from her husband.
There were, I think in Gemara, the example was if you don't get married to so-and-so. There were like discussions.
There may be a discussion, but if there is any permanent connection between them, it's not going to be a good get.
How did the get in time of war work? That soldiers would give a get?
They would give it with a time limit. They would say, if I don't come back by this day, you're divorced.
So then even if he comes back after this day, he's already divorced?
Yeah, he's divorced.
He can't remarry her?
He can remarry if he's not a Kohen. But if he is a Kohen, he cannot, if the get already took place.
But remarry only if she didn't get married first, right?
Yeah, and if she still wants.
Right.
So they knew for how long they're going to work for?
Approximately. Maybe they would give it longer. Maybe they would say, if I don't come back within a year.
Women don't know for how long they're going to go to war.
Yeah.
They can be waiting, like in Jerusalem, they waited 3 years, the
Yes.
soldiers waited for us.
You're taking a chance, but you don't want to keep her in doubt forever, because if you disappear, she's not going to know like this.
Well,
after
if
a year.
he's still in a war, just
Yeah.
don't come back.
But if he can send a message
I see, sorry.
and
She still knows that
she's
he's
gonna
alive.
know and wait for him, that's fine. And there are cases like this. I mean, the Gemara discusses, what if he's coming back and he's about to come home, and there is a flood and the river overflowed and he cannot cross the river and his house is on the other side and he wants to come back, but he can't, and he comes the next day, and it's too late. Can he scream to her? Can he send her email to stop get from taking place? There is such discussion. And another thing we learned is that it says, after these words that we highlighted, it says "V'natan b'yada," and he must give it into her hand, which means that it's not enough just to write it and keep it somewhere on file in a city hall. No, you have to give it to her. If you didn't give it to her, if she did not receive it, it's not good. I mean, she doesn't have to accept it, receive it, as long as it's in her domain, as long as it's in her possession. And also it says, of course, v'katav la, it has to be written, it cannot be by words, right? It cannot be in a digital form, it has to be written like a normal, something that's written permanently. It cannot be with something erasable or disappearing ink, it has to be permanent writing. And it says la to her. This just shows you how every word is significant. V'katav la, he has to write for her, which means for her specifically, for her name, right? If he has a few wives and he says, I want to divorce one of them, he cannot say, I want to divorce one of my wives, and then he just chooses randomly which one he wants. No, it has to have in mind which one, it has to write exactly. Or the Gemara says, what if there are two couples in a town? Because in a town, in the get, you have to write, for it to be valid, you have to write the date and you have to write the location where these people are from. So what if in the same town there were two couples the same name? The husband's the same name and the wives are the same name. And one of them wrote a get for his wife, and then he changed his mind. And this guy heard about it and he says, oh, I have a wife, my name is like yours, my wife's name is like your wife's name, just give me, I don't want to spend another $100 to give it to Sofer, give me your get, I'm going to give it to my wife. The names are the same, the city is the same, can I use it? And says, no, you cannot use it, because it was not written by this husband for this wife.
It's a very, very hypothetical case.
But they don't write it by hand, or you should.
They write it by hand.
So with the Rabbi in presence, you write it.
Yeah. There is a Beit Din, there is a Sofer, the scribe. The husband tells him to write, he writes.
Oh, okay, so,
They sign and then they give it to the wife.
Today they have prepared though, right? They don't write from scratch.
No, they write it by hand. The get, the Ktubah, they have prepared other documents, but get is, because of this, it has to be written specifically for her.
Rabbi, what's the idea that you cannot remarry the woman if she got married after you?
This is the idea that it used to be popular, like it is now, that if, let's say, one man is married and he has a friend who is married, and they say, you know, we're tired of our wives, let's switch wives for a couple months. So I'm going to divorce my wife, you divorce your wife, we want to do everything kosher. Then I'll marry your wife, you'll marry my wife, we're going to have a good marriage, everything kosher with chuppah and kiddushin. We're going to live like that for a couple of months, and then again I'm going to divorce and we're going to remarry our old wives. So Torah says that's not permissible, and therefore if you divorce your wife because you want to marry someone else and your wife wants to marry someone else, that's it. Cannot go back to each other.
There's a problem with the kids also. What if they don't know that the parents were, the same? Then the kids gonna want to marry each other. They have the same father, and
You're saying you're going to forget which
like sometimes, let's say,
father you
they
came
want-
from.
Let's say there was a war and they all died, the older generation. Now the kids, they don't know, let's say, whose father. and
Whose
they have the
father,
same
because
father
the
or
families
same
were mixed up. That's another reason, but the reason that is mentioned is this, that there shouldn't be switching of wives. If a person wants to do something improper, there is always room to do something improper. Nobody's going to stop him. But if he wants to do it a kosher way, with a new marriage, that's not going to be allowed.
So like, In the case that you mentioned, if the guy goes to war and he doesn't give a get, let's say, and she doesn't come back,
Right.
can she remarry?
She cannot remarry unless she has witness. One witness is enough that the husband died.
The witness in America.
I don't remember 100%, but
It's a question that
right,
Gemara
it
would
would
probably discuss.
huh?
I guess it's another question that Gemara would probably discuss.
Yeah, for sure,
Most
for sure.
likely, yeah.
Historical questions.
Yeah,
like
I would
witness.
assume. I don't know. We have a case like that. Remember about Og?
Amalek.
No, it's not the same. But he said,
wanted to marry Sarah.
yeah, he came and he says, oh, Abraham, go. So we see that someone who testifies, he might be biased. He might be interested in the outcome. So I would assume we don't allow. But if a woman gets a divorce and then she doesn't get married but she just has an affair with somebody, a boyfriend, out of marriage, it is improper, but that doesn't make her forbidden to her husband. It's only if there is a proper marriage, because that's what the Torah is trying to prevent. It's trying to prevent people from doing wrong things legally. But the Torah cannot stop people from doing illegal things, and therefore it doesn't concern itself with it. Okay, now, the next mitzvah is in Pasuk Daled, and it's a negative commandment. And this is the mitzvah that we just discussed, not to take back a wife that married someone else. It says...
Sorry, so she slept around? You could still marry her?
Yeah.
Unless there was like a proper prohibition and everything?
Right. So it says, let's read from Pasuk Bet. Vayatza mibeito, she's gonna leave the first husband's house. V'alcha, she's gonna go, become free woman again. V'ayta li'ish acher, and she's gonna marry another man. Usne'ah ha'ish ha'charon, and that latter man is gonna hate her also. The commentators say that there's a pattern. I mean, if a woman failed in the first marriage, there's a big chance that she's going to fail in the second marriage as well. And therefore, it is not recommended, in normal circumstances, it's not recommended to marry someone who was divorced before. Of course, each case is different. You have to know whose fault it was, but this is the source of that people don't like marrying someone who was divorced. And he, the second husband, will also write for her a divorce document. And he's going to give it into her hand. He's going to send her out of his house. Or maybe they're going to have a good marriage, but the second husband is just going to die. The one that took her as a wife the second time. This is the negative commandment. Lo yuchal bala rishon, the first husband is not allowed, asher shelcha, the one that divorced her first time, lashuv lekachta, to return and take her again, lihiyot lo leisha, to be his wife, acharei asher hutama, after that she became defiled. This is considered defilement, that she marries someone else after the divorce. She cannot come back. Now, we highlight from the beginning of the pasuk, Lo yuchal ba'ala rishon. Everything read. Asher shilcha lashu lekachta liyot lo liisha, until there.
Why is the situation that a woman that got divorced, now she had an affair with another man without marriage, is not considered a Torah?
She did something improper, but this was not completely breaking the trust of her original husband. She did not. It's true. She did something improper, but she did not commit herself to another man. And again, as I said, the Torah is trying to help a person to be righteous. The Torah is trying to help a person who wants to be good. And a person who wants to be good might say, oh, there is a loophole, let me use it. So the Torah says, this loophole is not allowed.
So this is also something that...
But if a person doesn't want to be good, if a person wants to be bad and he wants to on purpose do bad things, Torah doesn't stop him.
So,
I think it was basically they want give the weight to the marriage, so people don't marry, don't give the vows without understanding the weight of it, that it's more serious than just to have an affair.
Right. Same with the Kohen, you can ask. If a woman gets married, she can be married for one day and then she gets divorced, she cannot marry a Kohen. On the other hand, a woman can have boyfriends, more than one, over many years, but she never got married. Such a woman is allowed to marry a Kohen.
But I thought when you have an affair or whatever, isn't that a way to do like a fiducian and do a vow
That's
of
only
marriage?
if you have in mind that you want to do that, but people who just have a bad boyfriend, they don't want to marry him. The opposite. If the woman says, "You want to marry me," the boyfriend disappears. So that's how it used to be. But now that wouldn't be valid anyway unless there are witnesses, meaning people who know that you live as a husband and wife for the purpose of being husband and wife.
So a Cohen doesn't need a virgin, yeah?
No, only Kohen Gadol needs a virgin.
But Cohen had. No?
No.
Only divorcee he cannot marry.
He cannot marry a divorced woman, but he can marry a widow.
Okay.
Someone who is married for 50 years and her husband died, the Kohen can marry her. She can have 20 children, the Kohen can marry her anyway. But if she was married one night, let's say, she wasn't even intimate with her husband. Right after the chuppah, they got into a fight, they got divorced. She cannot marry a Kohen. So it doesn't depend on virginity, it depends on her being sent away. The fact that she was sent away by another man already puts her on a lower level, and the Kohen is not supposed to, being that he works for Hashem, he's not supposed to marry such a woman.
Can you marry Gerah?
No, he cannot marry a convert. Also.
What about a child of a convert?
Yeah. He
What
can
about
marry-
that case yesterday that we were learning, where like a woman conceived, and then at the time she was not Jewish, and then she became a ger?
No.
Was the child?
It says that for Kohen to marry a convert, one of his parents has to be Jewish. If both parents are converts, then the child still cannot marry.
Okay.
But if someone converted and then they married a Jew, and then their children can already marry Kohen.
Okay.
So we write on the side, don't remarry your divorcee after she married another man. So this whole page is about marriage. The next mitzvah, also a negative commandment, and this is next two mitzvot are very important, they're very practical for everybody. And it says like this in Pasuk Hey, Ki yikach ish isha hadasha. If a man marries a new wife, lo yetze batzava, he's not allowed to go out to the army. V'lo ya'avor alav lechol davar, and nothing may be passed over him, which means the government or the army is not allowed to give him duties, even if he doesn't go out to the army, but he cannot be obligated to serve for the army or for the government in the city, even within the city.
It should still be part of the army, but even though he's in a city, he should not be part of the army.
Yeah.
The city cannot force.
Right. This is a negative commandment, and this is pasuk hey. Lo yetze b'tzava v'lo ya'avor alav lechol davar. This is one thing. In English, it's he shall not go out to the army, nor shall it obligate him for any matter. And the negative commandment is a groom, a chatan, may not be obligated for any public service like army.
In Israel, can you postpone army if you get married?
Supposed to. I don't know if they allow it. But according to Torah, you have to. It's a negative commandment for him and for the army to not to take him.
What were it again? The groom?
A groom. may not be obligated to perform any public service like army. And this lasts for 1 year, and this we'll learn from the positive commandment that's coming up. And that is, good morning. Good morning.
Should we write for 1 year?
No, next mitzvah is going to mention 1 year. Good morning. And and the next positive commandment is Naki hiye leveito. He must be available to his household shana echad, 1 year. V'simachet ishto, and he must make his wife happy. And that is a positive commandment. I'm just going to translate it. He shall be free for his home for 1 year, and he shall gladden his wife.
How do we know it's a practical commandment here, in regards to army? Maybe that was at those times. At these times, is it still considered as a practical mitzvah?
Anything that is that you can fulfill, nothing stopping you, that is positive.
So this is part of the 613 mitzvahs?
Yeah, this is one of the 613 mitzvot.
Is this a Rambam's way of telling it?
Rambam.
No.
Rambam. There's not much difference between the different commentators. Minor differences. So here we write
What was the one you said?
Naki, this is green. Naki hiye leveito shana echad v'simachet ishto. A groom must gladden or make his wife happy, I guess extra happy for 1 year. Doesn't mean that after that he should stop, but the specific commandment when he doesn't even go to public service, he doesn't go to serve in the army. Why? Because the Torah wants him to have more time. He's not allowed to go on a business trip that's out of his town. He has to come back home every night for the whole year.
You can go away for a business for the first year?
Not for a business that you will not be able to come back to the plant.
Well, what if you don't really have a choice? What are you going to take a job? Like, I have this commandment that I have to come home every
I guess so.
If when you get married,
Like
you
your
tell
wife.
your wife this condition, she happily accepts it, that's okay, but it's not ideal. And not only that, it says that you shouldn't even have evening jobs or learning. Let's say you got married and you have a chavruta, so the first year you should not have a chavruta in the evening. Your wife should be your chavruta that night. And I've heard people say that they got permission from their wives, whether to do business or to learn, to have chavruta, to go to class, but then they regretted it because they felt that they are missing this connection that they should have developed in the first year of marriage. So
For most people in these days, first year of marriage is the most difficult one. When you basically go through your personal egos,
yes,
you don't make your wife happy actually in any way.
but that's why you should take less stress upon yourself. You should not go through difficult school, through difficult starting a new business, starting a new career. All these things you should postpone for second year. First year you should spend more time with your wife every day and every weekend. And they say that in our times this commandment can only be fulfilled after 10 years of marriage. So first 10 years is Shana Rishona, first year.
Please say.
The rabbis, when they teach this mitzvah, they say that you shouldn't say, oh, I finished my year, that's it.
Make it 10.
Because for us to develop such relationship, in the past it took less, now it takes longer.
The time frame from the positive commandment is learned to the negative commandment also. The army.
Yes, because it's all same pasuk. He's not allowed to go to the army, but rather he should be available for his house for 1 year.
So why is it considered as two separate mitzvot?
One is a negative, you're not allowed, and one is a positive, you have to make your wife happy. You shouldn't go to the army, but what should you do with your free time? You cannot spend it on yourself, you have to spend it on your wife. So that's a positive commandment. So we wrote that a groom must make his wife happy, extra happy, first year.
So nothing for women here, right? I mean, do they have any
No.
obligations?
Women have much less obligations in marriage than men.
Rabbi, can you tell me which pasuk that is?
This was in Pasuk Hey, both negative and positive commandment. לא יצא בצבא ולא יעבור עליו לכל דבר is negative commandment. נקי יהיה לביתו שנה אחת וישמח את אשתו, that's positive commandment. Now we go to another topic, and that is in Pasuk Vav. We have a negative commandment. לא יחבול רחיים ורחב. You're not allowed to take as collateral or as a pledge rechayim, which means millstone. Verachev is the lower. So the mill has two stones. One bigger one on the bottom as the foundation, and you put the wheat there, and then you put the smaller stone, and the smaller stone is rotated, and the lower stone is stationary, and it grinds the wheat. So the top stone is called rechayim. That's what actually does the grinding, and the lower stone is called rachev. Rachev means a seat of riding, a riding seat, which means that's where the top stone is sitting upon. So this is a negative commandment. Not allowed to take as a pledge, not the top millstone, not the bottom millstone. Why not? It says ki nefesh hu chover, because you're taking. We don't highlight it, but it explains because you're taking away a soul. What does it mean? A soul means a way for a person to earn money to support himself. Meaning you're not allowed to take something from a person, even if he owes you money and you want to take it as a collateral to make sure he's going to pay. You're not allowed to take something that's going to damage his business. Livelihood, right. That's going to damage his business, his parnasa, his job. For example, if he has, or actually that's not the actual mitzvah. The actual mitzvah is specifically for something that is used to make food, not only to earn money for buying food, but to actually make food. And so the negative commandment is, don't take as collateral utensils used to make food, which means any kitchen utensils, anything used to cut, to grind, to mix dough, to cook, anything like that you're not allowed to. And on top of that also, you're not allowed to take anything that person uses in his business, unless he has a spare one. So for example, if a person has one horse, not allowed to take it away. If he has two horses and he only needs one to plow, or to ride, or to carry burdens, you're allowed to take one, but you have to leave him the second one.
You said we don't underline anything?
We underline, lo yachavol rechaim v'rachev, don't take as collateral utensils that are used to make food.
Why did the Torah give 2 examples? A lot of times we learn all of the things that are involved in the mitzvah just by the mitzvah. So if we learn the same thing, it mentions just one, the Rechaim or the Rachel.
Yeah, I
I
don't
don't
know.
understand all of it, but we know specific.
It's a good question, I don't know. If you just take a part of a utensil, you make the utensil not usable, it's already enough. Why you mention the second half? I don't know. Now, there are 2 times in a lifetime of a loan when a person can take a collateral. One is when you're just giving the loan, like that's what pawn shops do, right? When they just give you a loan, they take something valuable from you, and if you don't pay, they just keep it. And there's another time, and that's what we're talking about, when the time comes to pay the loan back, and the person doesn't have money, then both of them, the lender and the borrower, they go to Beit Din, and the lender says, I gave him money. He agrees he owes me money, no problems, but he doesn't have money right now to pay back. So he wants to extend the loan, and I'm willing to extend the loan, but now that he showed that he has trouble paying, I want some security. I want a pledge or collateral. And then the Beit Din allows him to do that. We have a rule that a person is not allowed to go to the borrower's house and choose what collateral he wants. Not allowed. You have to allow the borrower to take something that he feels he doesn't need and to give it to you, to the lender.
It has to be a certain value or
The value of the loan.
value of the loan.
Yeah. Not more than the loan. Or if it is more, then if you cannot pay and he keeps it, he has to return you the difference. Right. So we're talking about the second collateral, the time when he cannot pay back and they go to Beit Din. At that time, you're not allowed to take.
That means that in the beginning you can.
In the beginning, probably also not, but just we're not discussing that time. Okay, now we're going to next page.
Skipping kidnapping?
Yeah, because kidnapping is part of the Ten Commandments. Not stealing in Ten Commandments means don't kidnap. And as it says here, that someone who kidnaps a Jewish person, he deserves death penalty. So we know what awaits those that kidnapped the 3 Jewish boys. Now, in Pasuk Het, we have a negative commandment, and that's a simple one. Hishamer b'nega atzarat lishmor meod ve'la'asot. Be very careful about the tzarat affliction, to guard it and to perform. And then the Pasuk continues to perform according to all the laws that you're going to be taught. But the negative commandment is not to cut the signs of tzarad, to hide it. For example, if a person has tzarad and he says, I have a wedding that night, I can't have tzarad on my body, so he goes and he cuts it off. Not allowed. Yeah, and it's a negative commandment.
Is he not outside the camp though?
It's
So
not-
he hasn't been identified yet.
he's not identified yet. The Kohen didn't come yet.
Just cutting the piece of skin.
Yeah, just to cut or scrape or part of skin, whatever way it's done. Not allowed. So it means don't remove signs of tzarad. That's the negative commandment. Huh? Hishamer b'nega tzarad lishmor meod ve'la'asot.
So the wording is positive actually, but the commandment is negative.
When it says, we have a rule that whenever the Torah uses the word hishamer or shamor, like shamor b'zachor, guard, it means negative. Like shamor b'zachor, shamor is negative, zachor is positive. So that's a good point that the word hishamer already means negative commandment.
But this is not practical though, right? Because tzaras are not happening these
Right,
days.
it's not practical. Now there is just like we mentioned that by tzitzit, you're not allowed to wear shatnez, but if you have a linen garment and the tzitzit are woolen, because the blue thread has to be woolen, even if the white are linen, so that's kilayim, and you're not allowed to wear kilayim, shatnez, but we have a rule that the positive commandment overrides negative commandment. So when they happen at the same time, and at the time when you wearing this garment of kilayim, you're also fulfilling the mitzvah of tzitzit, you're allowed to do that because the positive commandment of tzitzit overrides the negative commandment of kilayim. So here there's a similar idea. What if a baby or a man has tzarad on the place where he has to have brit milah? We have a negative commandment not allowed to cut it off. And we have a positive commandment to cut it off. So, what do we do?
You can.
Wait, hold on a second. He wasn't circumcised at birth? So we're talking about a person who wasn't
Either
circumcised.
he's a baby and before 8th day he had tzara.
Why would a baby have tzara?
Or his
It's
parents
a theoretical case. Or it's a man who didn't have Brit Milah. He didn't know about it. Now he found out and he has tzara.
So we'll wait until he
Yeah,
actually
wait.
undergoes the
No.
process to become
No,
pure, no?
you can, because every day you don't do Brit Milah, it's a negative command. Like it's not good.
But birthmarks is not sarat, right?
No.
Birthmark is not.
So in such a case, again, you're allowed to do Brit Milah. You don't have to wait to be healed from tzara, because with the same action you're going to be fulfilling both. You're going to be fulfilling the positive commandment and doing the negative commandment, and the positive overrides the negative. So you can do Brit Milah.
This is only if the positive and the negative, if the two commandments are related to the same thing. Or I can say, if I will not do one thing, or if I will do one thing, I will be transgressing a negative commandment, but then there is a different mitzvah that I will be doing at the same time. Does it has to be related?
No, they don't have to be related, but it has to be at the same time. You cannot say, I'm going to do Avira now, and later I'm going to be able to do mitzvah. That doesn't help.
So why, I don't know if it's exception or not, but the Kohen Gadol, the case that even the Kohen Gadol, if he goes on Yom Kippurim to do the service, and he finds a dead body that there is no one to bury, and if he's going to leave this body, he's not going to take care of the body, he's going to transgress the negative commandment, but he's on the way to the positive commandment.
Right.
So we don't tell him you can ignore him and go do the positive commandment because the positive commandment is going to cover it. But that's what we should have said against.
No, because here it doesn't happen at the same time. At the time when he's going to be doing the Yom Kippur service, he's not taking care of the dead. At the time when he's doing the taking care of the dead, he's not doing it's not
if,
the same
if
action.
If one action does the positive commandment, but at the same time transgresses the negative,
Right.
the same one action
Right.
has to be okay.
So, for example, by burying the dead, I'm becoming tameh, right? But I'm allowed to, because this is a met mitzvah, I'm allowed to bury the dead, and that overrides me becoming tameh. But then you say, oh, but I will not be able to fulfill positive commandment later.
So
But that positive commandment is later. I have a whole day to do it. And right now, this mitzvah is in front of me, and I have to do that. Now we have one more negative commandment, actually 3 more negative commandments about collaterals. 2 negative and 1 positive.
Do we do anything in this one?
Huh?
So there are two, one negative, one positive, right? That we should remember what God did to Miriam, or we don't.
That's not a positive commandment. It is something you have to remember every day, but that's not a positive commandment.
They say it in there in the notes. That Rambam notes it is a positive commandment to remember what God did to Miriam. People
Which note?
don't do. Look at the notes of the.
Ramban.
That's Ramban, yeah. There's Rambam, Maimonides, and there is Nachmanides. Yeah, we say that it's a, the Torah says, Zachor et asher asa Hashem Elokecha leMiriam. You have to remember it. Whether you count it as a 613 or not, that there is a machloket. But remember, you have to, even if it's not one of the 613 commandments. But if Rambam didn't count it, he probably holds that it's included in some other commandment. For example, this is to remember that she said Lashon Hara, right? So maybe in the commandment of not speaking Lashon Hara, maybe Rambam holds that it's already included.
But we don't have anything in here, not even negative, in regards to tzaras. We don't highlight anything.
Just not to cut it off, right?
So that's, what is it, negative command?
Negative command. Beware of tzarat affliction, to be very careful and to act. That's a negative commandment. Now in Pasuk Yud, we have a negative commandment. Let's just read the introduction. Ki tasher v'reacha mashat mi'uma. If you lend your friend a loan of any amount. Now, negative commandment starts. Lo tavo el beito lavot avoto. We mentioned this just recently. Don't come into his house to take collateral, to take security.
You underline from lo tavo?
Yeah. So the negative commandment is lo tavo el beito lavot avoto.
So then don't enter his house to collect security for collateral or collateral.
What we should write that don't take collateral by force. Not the person, not the lender, and not the Beit Din are allowed to force the borrower what collateral to give. He must give collateral, but the object he chooses.
There's a lot. I like a lot of few Jewish people. They don't like the business that they have give out loans for cars, and you take a loan, you buy a car. If you don't pay, they come and take your car. So you can't do that. You can't forcibly come and take someone's car.
No, that's a different thing. We're talking about the collateral, something that you.
The car's collateral for the loan.
Maybe it's just written in that I'm buying the car, it's mine, I'm letting you use it, and I don't know how they structure the.
I mean, it's structured like a lease.
Actually, you don't take ownership until you pay all your payments. The bank has a lien on it. The bank owns it.
Right. So
when they give it to you, either a lease or a loan.
So yeah, they're just taking something that's theirs.
It's theirs.
So again, this is talking about the case where you gave a loan and the time came to pay the loan. The person doesn't have money, so he asks you for more time, and to make it official, you go to Beit Din and you ask for collateral. So the Beit Din gives you permission to collect the collateral, but what should you do? The next pasuk says, "Bachutz ta'amod." You should stand outside. "V'haish asher ata noshe bo," and the man who you gave the loan to, yotzei lechet havot hachutz, and he must bring out the collateral to you. He has obligation to bring it out. He cannot say, "I'm not giving it to you," but he has to choose what he wants to give you. So again, the negative commandment: don't take collateral by force.
What do we underline here?
I don't underline anything there.
Lo tavo el.
Lo tavo el beito la'avot avoto.
That's the only thing, right?
Now it says in pasuk Yud Bet, negative commandment: lo tishkav ba'avoto. It prefaces it with ve'im ish anihu, and if he's a poor man means he only has one of each item. So you took his object. Lo tishkav ba'avoto. Don't go to sleep with it, which means as long as he doesn't need it, you can hold it. When he needs it, you have to return it to him and take something else.
But for the night, right? For the night only.
Whenever he needs it. So the negative commandment is, don't withhold collateral from its owner at the time when he needs it. So at any moment he can either come and exchange it for something else, and you must agree to the exchange, or he can just call you and say, bring it back. And you have to, it's your responsibility to go back and to bring it to him and take something else as a collateral.
So, which pasuk is it? I'm sorry.
This is pasuk Yud Bet. Lo tishkav ba'avoto. Don't withhold a collateral from its owner at the time when he needs it. And now we have a positive commandment in pasuk Yud Gimel. Hashev tashiv lo et ha'avot. You must certainly return him the collateral. What's the difference between security and collateral?
Security, you definitely get it back. Oh no, actually you don't get it back.
No difference.
Security, you don't get it back.
Security,
In English?
collateral,
In English, there's no difference.
pledge,
Same thing.
Security.
Well, same thing.
Um,
legally.
Yeah.
No, security.
No, they're all the same thing.
No, it's not. Collateral security is when you want to acquire something and it's a sort of down payment that in case you back out, you lose it.
Right, security, same thing. I'm a collateral attorney. It's
I-
the same thing.
Okay.
Same thing. Okay,
Sorry.
good.
I confused
As I
myself.
see article here uses the word security, so it's the same thing. Now, Hashev tashiv lo et ha'avod, you must certainly return him the collateral. And the positive commandment is, return the collateral to its owner.
And which pasuk is that?
Pasuk Yud Gimel. Hashev tashiv lo et ha'avod. Now the pasuk continues. When the sun sets, you must return it to him. So we learn from it that if it's an object that is usually used at night, you have to take it by day and return it in the evening. If it's an object that is used by day, you can take it in the evening and you have to return it in the morning. For example, if it's his bedding, you can take it for the day and return it, and if it's his clothing, you can take it for the night, but you have to return it in the morning.
Is it a different commandment, or is it part of that commandment, or is it a different?
No, it's just explanation. It's not, we don't mind marking. Okay, so we stop here by Pasuk Tet Vav. We're going to have another positive commandment.